We'll go to resuming debate. The honourable member for Northumberland Clark.
Sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister, for being here. I will start out by saying that Conservatives are committed to eliminating interprovincial trade barriers. My challenge, though, is actually with what I heard at the doors quite often. I can't tell you how many folks I heard that said, you know what, I'm tired of politicians saying one thing and then doing another. So then Liberal candidate, now Prime Minister Mark Carney said, I should say Prime Minister, my apologies, said on 5 separate occasions in the 5 separate occasions that we would have free trade in Canada by Canada Day. Can you confirm that that will be the case?
And just confirm with the honourable member, he's splitting his time 3 ways. The honourable minister.
I do want to congratulate my colleague, and I'm even going to say friend, from Northumberland Peterborough on his re-election. He has a wonderful family. I'd like to congratulate them too. Our commitment as a government is to do everything in our power to get to free trade in Canada by Canada Day. As the member knows, it is not even chiefly in the power of the federal government, but I am proud of what the province.
My question again is, will we have free trade in Canada by Canada Day?
The honourable minister.
And my commitment is I am going to do everything in my power to get there as fast as I can.
Honourable member.
Will we have all federal barriers eliminated by Canada Day?
Honourable minister.
Excellent question, and I hope that means that the members opposite are going to vote for and support our one Canadian.
The honourable member.
What percentage of total barriers are federal barriers?
The honourable minister.
I actually didn't hear an answer as to whether the Conservatives will be supporting our bill. I really hope they will. Federal barriers are a small portion of the barriers, but in saying that, I really do want to lean on what great work the provinces are doing.
The honourable member.
Just to answer the question, we'll read the legislation and then find out whether we're going to support it. I think that makes sense. I was actually hoping that we might get draft legislation in advance so that we wouldn't have to be slowed down by amendments or other contributions we may have to have. But once again, will all barriers be gone by Canada Day?
The honourable minister.
As I said, we are a minority in this House, as we have been reminded earlier this week. It is my commitment as Minister to do everything in my power, in the federal government's power, to remove federal barriers.
The honourable member.
Once again, the Prime Minister committed 5 different times during the campaign to eliminate all barriers. This is his words, not mine. I realize that there may be some reasons why he can't, but that's why I would never have made that promise to begin with. Do you think the Prime Minister was disingenuous when he made the promise that he would eliminate, that we'd have free trade in Canada by Canada Day?
The honourable minister.
Canadians are really smart. Canadians know we need one economy, not 13. Canadians know we need free trade in Canada as soon as we can get it. And if we all work really hard, but we're going to have to do it together across the country, provinces, territories, federal government, opposition.
The honourable member.
So the member mentioned the number $200 billion. That has been stated by academics by removal of all barriers. It's been stated clearly today that we won't have all barriers gone. What will be the economic impact of the barriers that will be removed by Canada, if any?
The honourable minister.
No, it's a really good point. And I do want to be clear. I convened, I'm going to stop ritualized jousting and be a normal human. I convened a roundtable of economists really shortly after being sworn in as.
The honourable member.
Some said lift all barriers and get 4% of GDP. Others said 1%. Reasonable people can differ, but there is unanimity that this is going to make our economy stronger.
Thank you, Minister, for that. But those numbers were all calculated on the basis of elimination of all barriers. We're not even sure any barriers will be eliminated by Canada Day. So this was a disingenuous, false promise by the Prime Minister. Do you think he set you up for failure?
The honourable minister.
I believe in succeeding or failing based on my own strengths, merits, and hard work. I think I'll leave it there.
The honourable member.
Look, I've just seen 2 prime ministers in a row who have set you up to failure.
The honourable minister.
On interprovincial trade, we are absolutely already making progress, and the progress, I have to say, is
The honourable member.
territories.
Since we don't, since we'll have the legislation and I believe by tomorrow, and look forward to the technical briefing, will the minister commit to provide all economic analysis of the financial impact and economic impact of the legislation?
Final response, the honourable minister.
I have with me a binder of independent analysis done on this, including a study done for the IMF. Truly, sincerely, as a human, not a jouster, it's an issue I...
Resuming debate. L'honourable député des...
The Honourable Member from Louis Saint Laurent, Akiawendrack. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, very happy to be participating in the discussion tonight. I'd like to recognize the Minister for Interprovincial Trade and Transport for her election to this position, especially given the current economic troubles that we're facing. I would like to come back to the debate on interprovincial trade. 9 years ago, June 14th, 2016, we had a debate on Free the Beer. I'm sure the minister remembers, and remembers that they voted against our motion to broaden and open up transportation. The Act says that it aims to eliminate all federal barriers to internal trade and to increase mobility in Canada by Canada Day. Canada Day is in 25 days. Do you think that this is an unrealistic goal that you have set for yourself weeks ago, the Honourable Minister? I am very happy that the member from Louis Saint Laurent is reminding us of this slogan, an unforgettable slogan from our dear colleague from Central Okanagan, Free the Beer. As I was preparing myself for this evening, I actually had the intention to find the opportunity to commend him for having taken this important initiative. And I am truly grateful for the work that this Conservative colleague did. So the work that Jason Kenney did for this important initiative. The Honourable Member. Thank you for having recognized my colleague from BC, who I appreciate very much, but you didn't answer the question. Canada Day is in 25 days. Do you not believe it to be irresponsible to have committed to reducing these barriers, or rather eliminating them, by Canada Day, and to ensuring that no matter what their job is, all workers be able to travel freely within the country? My answer will be partly founded upon a question that we need to ask our colleague on the other side of the House. That is, yes or no, will the Conservatives vote in favor of this important measure? Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, 9 years ago, the Conservatives were for interprovincial trade, and that wasn't the case for those across the way. A question, will nurses in Quebec be able to work in BC or in Newfoundland by Canada Day? My honourable colleague understands the following very well. The federal government can only do our part, and we want to do it. We are a minority here in Parliament. We need the support of our colleagues. Honourable Member? It seems like we barely got an answer. Will an electrician from Ontario be able to go do their job in Saskatchewan by Canada Day? I had the opportunity to speak with the Premier of Saskatchewan on Monday. He is one of the premiers that strongly supports this initiative. The Honourable Member. Once again, no answer, Mr. Speaker. Will an insurance agent be able to work in BC by Canada Day? Yes or no? This is a question for the premiers of Ontario and British Columbia. The honourable member. Mr. Speaker, we can see that the federal minister is unfortunately putting the responsibility on the provinces. Will there truly be an agreement to liberalize internal trade in Canada, as was stated by the King, the honourable minister?
I have great respect for my colleague from Louis Saint Laurent. For that reason, I am shocked that he, a Quebec MP, is proposing, with what time for one last question, the honourable member. On the contrary, my honourable colleague was trying to distract attention. In my riding, there's a lot of people who work at the Quebec City Airport, and there's one issue that affects all airports throughout Canada. The leases are short-term, and because the airports don't necessarily own the land, airports want leases to be at least 50 years. What does the minister have to say about that? Thank you for that question. I am aware of the issue that the member is referring to. It is an important issue. We are examining it currently and working on it with our officials.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, in the Confederation discussions, George Brown famously said that going from province to province is like going to a foreign country. But he said the Confederation proposal is to throw down all barriers between provinces to make a citizen of one, citizen of the whole. Does the minister agree with our founding fathers that we should throw down all provincial trade barriers?
Well, Minister.
I certainly do.
The honourable member.
When will you do this by?
Minister.
As I said to our respected colleague from Quebec, I respect the jurisdiction of the provinces, and I respect...
Well, member.
Did you, at your meeting with the First Ministers, did you discuss internal trade barriers?
Again, through the chair, the honourable minister.
We surely did.
Well, member.
Premiers draw up a list of internal trade barriers.
Minister.
We have a list, and the premiers were very vocal about their intention to move with alacrity.
The honourable member.
Would the minister provide this House a copy of that list?
The honourable minister.
In fact, it is a matter of public record what the exemptions are of each province and territory in the federal government.
Member.
I didn't ask what the exemptions were, Minister. I asked if you would provide a list that you drew up for the minister's meeting.
Again, through the chair, the honourable minister.
Exemptions are a list.
Well, member.
If a province does not want to remove a barrier voluntarily, will the Liberal government coerce the province to remove it?
The honourable minister.
I think there is a wave of patriotism in Canada. I think we are ready to trust each other and to work together. It is in that spirit of collaboration that I intend to work.
Well, member.
The minister spoke about a number of the memorandums of understanding between provinces. For example, the Ontario and New Brunswick MOU says that it is not legally binding. Does the minister believe non-binding commitments are enough to create one Canadian economy?
Honourable minister.
The member opposite is a newly elected MP for Ontario. Perhaps he and I differ in the degree of trust we have for the Premier of Ontario. I believe he is a man of his word and will live up to it.
The honourable member.
The trust we have in our provincial premiers is not at issue. The question is, does the minister believe that non-legally binding commitments are enough to create one Canadian economy?
The honourable minister.
In fact, I think the member opposite's questions are directly about questioning the sincerity with which the premiers of Ontario and New Brunswick are approaching this issue. I choose to trust them and believe they want to make.
The honourable member.
Mr. Chair, the Canadian Cancer Society said this week that cancer is hard already. Accessing treatment shouldn't be. Does the minister agree?
The honourable minister.
If the point of the question is to say we need to make it easier for healthcare professionals to work across the country, I 1,000% agree.
The honourable member.
Glad to hear that. So I assume then the minister believes that the lack of cancer care and access to drugs and treatment is an internal trade barrier.
The Honourable Minister.
No, I didn't say that. I chose my words precisely with care. I do believe one of the things we need to do is make it easier for healthcare professionals, make it seamless for health.
The Honourable Member.
Let me ask her directly then. Does the minister believe that the lack of cancer care access, the lack of access to treatment, to drugs, is an internal trade barrier?
The Honourable Minister.
I believe is an internal trade barrier is the fact that healthcare professionals cannot move freely across the country and cannot offer their services across borders. That is not good enough, and that is one of the things that we're going to change.
Honourable Member.
I agree with labor mobility. That was not the question. The question was for patients' access to care and drugs and treatment. Is that an internal trade barrier?
Honourable Minister.
I actually did address that in my answer. I do believe part of removing internal barriers to trade is making the movement of goods barrier-free, making the movement of people barrier-free, and making it possible to provide services across borders.
The Honourable Member.
Minister, when will cancer patients have access to all types of treatment, drugs, in all parts of Canada?
Honourable Minister.
Again, I was clear. Part of the work of removing barriers to interprovincial trade absolutely includes making services frictionless and barrier-free and allowing them to be provided across the country.
The Honourable Member, last question.
Does the minister know the value of lost wages, out-of-pocket expenses caused by the lack of access to cancer treatment because of internal trade barriers?
Minister.
The Conservatives seem confused in their questions. On one hand, they want to say that we are overstating the value of removing internal barriers to trade. On the other hand,
Resuming